Habari zenu, karibuni tena. Hapa ni Elimu Kiganjani, au tumerestructure imekuwa ni Learn with Zanga. Katika session hii tutaendelea na mathematics session, ambapo tutafundisha mathematics again, na pati ya leo itakuwa ni midpoint of a straight line, na hii ni pati ya topiki ya mathematics form 4 kwa vijana wa kidato cha 4 wako kwenye mwendelezo tu wa kujifunza na hatimaye kumaster content ambayo wanatakiwa waijue, ili basi elimu kwao iwe ni nyepesi. Nikukaribishe tena na tunaanza rasmi session ya leo kama ifuatavyo. So as I said, we are going to go on with midpoint of a line segment, and the midpoint of a line segment is a point which divided the line segment into two equal parts. So the midpoint is a point which will divide the line segment into two equal parts. And you're going to assume that let P be a point with coordinate xc1, y1. So this is our point P here, xc1, y1, as presented in this diagram, and R be coordinate x2, y2. So R is x2, y2. It is required to find the coordinates of the point Q, and point Q is going to be our midpoint. So the coordinate of point Q is going to be x, y, where Q is the midpoint of PR. So we are going to derive the formula for midpoint of PR by considering that the triangle PCQ, this triangle here, PCQ, you can see this triangle PCQ, and the triangle QDR, these two triangles are similar triangles. And the reason is actually right angle, hypotenuse side. So we have right angle, we have hypotenuse, which are equal. And because this point actually is the midpoint, and also we have actually another side, and this is the third side here to be considered. So the fact that these two triangles are similar, the ratio of corresponding sides are equal. And so taking PC, actually PC over QD will be equal to CQ over DR, and we know that actually, an apology, I'll just proceed again, and this is going to be equal to PQ over QR. But we were informed that actually Q is the midpoint, and so PQ will be equal to QR, and the reason is Q is the midpoint. Q is the midpoint. And so if that is the case, if PQ equals to QR, it means PC over QD, this is going to be equal to 1. And also CQ over DR, this is again equal to 1. And the reason is here PQ over QR is going to be equal to 1. Okay. So to proceed with derivations, I'll be going on with this part to see relationship between x1, x2, and so forth. So PC, as we can see here, is xc minus x1. So xc minus x1 over qd, it is x2 minus xc. This is going to be equal to 1. And from this, when you cross the multiplication, you have x minus x1 equals to x2 minus x. Collecting like terms, so 2xc will be equal to x1 plus x2. And what we do now, the fact that we have 2x equals to x1 plus x2, you divide by 2, so x is going to be an apology. Well, so when you go to the screen once again, now we have from this, we have now from here an apology. I'll be taking xc minus x1 equals to x2 minus xc. When you collect like terms, we'll be having actually 2xc equals to x1 plus x2. And you'll be dividing by 2 both sides. So that x now will be x1 plus x2 divided by 2. We're going to use this part here also to consider relationship between y values. And so CQ is y minus y1. So we'll be taking CQ over dr. This is equal to 1. And this is going to be actually equals to taking CQ is y minus y1, y minus y1 over y2 minus y equals to 1. So when you cross the multiplication, you'll be getting y minus y1, y minus y1 equals to y2 minus y. Collecting like terms, you'll be getting 2y equals to y1 plus y2. So from here, you'll be dividing by 2 both sides, and eventually be getting y equals to y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So but point Q is x comma y. And so combining these values, x and y, eventually the midpoint now is going to be given by this formula here. You might not remember the derivation of these formulas, but it's utmost important. It's very important to be able to remember the formula for midpoint. So you have to be in position to know the formula for the midpoint of a given line segment. So with this information in our hand, let us see how we can find the midpoint of some line segment, dear students. But again, don't forget that the midpoint of any given 2 points, you're going to assume you have x1, y1, and eventually you're going to have actually x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. So coming to this question here, find the coordinate of the midpoint of line joining point -4, 7 and 1, -18. So we're going to assume that this is x1, y1 here, and this will be x2, y2. So the midpoint, if you're going to term it as x, y, midpoint x, y will be taking x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. To proceed, so have x1 plus x2, so you have -4 plus 1 over 2, comma y1, which is 7, minus 18 over 2. And this is going to be now equal to -4 plus 1, you get -3 over 2, comma 7 minus -18, you get -11 over 2. So the midpoint actually x, y is -3 over 2, comma -11 over 2. And we are going to jump to the second example. But again, before even you go to second example, remember, whether you know how to derive the formula or not, but still you are in position to do questions. And the easiest way is for you to remember the formula. And here is the formula, as we said. Here is the formula that the midpoint of any line segment having point 1 and point 2, obviously, you're going to take x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. Now we are going to proceed with example 2 in this part. And here is the question. Find the equation of straight line in the form of ax plus by plus c equals to 0, passing through point 5, 3, and the midpoint of line joining the points -2, 4 and -6, 18. So first of all, we have to find the midpoint of these 2 points. And so we're going to start with the assumption that this is going to be termed x1, y1, and this will be x2, y2. So we're going to say that midpoint will be x1, y1. Oh, an apology. Midpoint will be x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. So the midpoint here will be now be taking -2 minus 6 over 2, comma -4 minus 8 over 2. And this is going to be -8 over 2, comma -12 over 2. And eventually we are getting the point here is -4, comma -6. Now we're going to have 2 points now. We're going to have 2 points. We have -4, comma -6 at the first point, and we have 5, comma 3 in the second point. So we're going again to term them as x1, y1, and this can be considered x2, y2. So what you do, first of all, you have to find the slope, and the slope is change in y over change in x. So we're taking y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You find the difference and you'll be getting actually 3 minus negative 6 divided by 5 minus negative 4. So with this difference, now we have slope will be actually 3 plus 6 divided by 5 plus 4. You get actually 9 over 9, which is equal to 1. So slope equals to 1. The fact that we have slope in our hand, now we can use actually slope point equation. That is y equals to mx minus x1 plus y1 to get the equation of required line. So we'll be having y equals to m x minus x1, and x1 will be negative 4 plus y1, which is negative 6. You simplify further, we have in y equals to x plus 4 minus 6. The equation is actually y equals to x minus 2. We were supposed to find the equation in the form of ax plus by plus c. So we have to rearrange the equation in such a way that it obeys actually the given format. So taking y to the other side, actually I can consider now it is x minus y minus 2 equals to 0, and this is actually required line, dear students. This is required line. So the concept of midpoint can be seen in actually in different examples. We have managed actually to solve questions which came actually into different format, and I'd like to solve one of the other question from exercise. So if you go to your textbook, this is actually exercise 122, and I'll be solving question number 2. Let us see how we're going to solve it. So the question is, if the line from the point negative 4 comma y1 to the point x2 minus comma negative 3 is bisected at the point 1 comma negative 1, find the values of y1 and the x2. So as you can see the question, actually we are supposed to find the value of y1 and x2, but don't forget that actually the midpoint is already given. So again, this kind of question, what you do, you just use the formula, and then automatically you'll be able to find the value of y1. You will be able actually to find the value of y1 and x2. So we'll go with the formula, and the formula is, if midpoint is x comma y, then x comma y is going to be equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And here we are going to assume that, here we go with the assumption that, so this is actually x1 y1 here, and this is x2 y2, dear students. So I'll be having 1 comma negative 1. This is equal to x1, which is negative 4, plus x2, which is not given, over 2, comma y1, it is actually y1 minus 3 over 2. Okay, so we'll be just comparing, and with comparison actually we mean that I'll be comparing x values with x values, and the y values will be compared with y values. So negative 4 plus x2 over 2, this is equal to 1. And when you cross the multiplication, so you have negative 4 plus x2 equals to 2. And x2 will be actually 2 plus 4. X2 will be equal to 6. We'll do the same with y values. So with y values, you have y1 minus 3 over 2 equals to negative 2, negative 1, sorry. So you'll be crossing multiplication so that you have y1 minus 3 equals to negative 2. So y1 will be negative 2 plus 3. Y1 will be equal to positive 1. So you are supposed to find the value of y1 and x2. And here they are y1 equals to 1 and x2 equals to 60. Dear students, I'll continue with the last question. And I'll solve actually question number 9, dear students. The other questions, they can be solved in the same way. Have your time actually to solve as many questions as possible so that you master the concept. Find the equation of line through point 2, 3 and the midpoint of 1, 2 and 5, 2. Actually, this question is similar to example number 2, but you can solve it. So initially, we're going to assume that this is going to be x2, y2, and this point here will be x1, y1. So the midpoint x, y, midpoint x, y, I'll be taking x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay? And with this, so what is x1? x1 is 1 plus 5 divided by 2, 2 plus 2 divided by 2. So this is going to be 60 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. Eventually you have a point which is 3, 2. Okay? And now we have 2 points. We have actually 3, 2, and also we have 2, 3. So we're supposed to find the equations, your line passing through this point and passing through the other point. We do the same. We assume now this to be x1, y1, and this will be x2, y2. So you start with this slope, and the slope will be taking change in y over changing in x. You find the slope, and then from the slope, we are going to use slope point equation to find the equation of the straight line. So from here, the slope, dear students, the slope now will be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we'll be having 3 minus 2 over 2 minus 3. Eventually you get to actually 1 over negative 1. So the slope is negative 1. Okay. So we have slope negative 1, and you have also, so slope is negative 1, and we have actually x1, y1. This is 3, 2. So according to point slope equation, y equals to m x minus x1 plus y1. So we'll be coming here, and it's actually you're going to have now y equals to negative 1, x minus x1, 3 plus 2. You open the bracket, you'll be having actually y equals to negative x plus 3 plus 2. So y is negative x plus 5. So this is the equation of a straight line, dear students. As I said, you can have actually questions coming from different format, but at the end we are using the same approach. Don't forget actually the formula for midpoint of uh, line segment, and we have actually derived the formula here in the formula that the midpoint of the coordinate actually of midpoint then is x1 plus x2 over 2 comma y1 plus y2 over 2. And actually this is more than enough for today's session. If it is your first time to be here, consider subscribing to the channel so that you're going to be updated on all the coming content. I wish you all the best in your mathematics learning journey. Hope to see you in other coming sessions. Uh, Continue being here for other times so that you're going to continue learning mathematics with our channel. Until next time, kwaherini.